Today's episode is really fun because we are going to be talking to the founder of Solly Baby, Elle Rowley, and this is something that I have had in all of my postpartum experiences. It's the most wearable, functional wrap and just makes life as a mom very easy, especially in those crazy postpartum days. So welcome, Elle. I'm putting a face to a product that I've been using for so long with the Solly wrap. So I'm excited to just hear all about how you even came up with this and also how you executed getting it actually done.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Amazing. So let's go back because everybody who is pregnant or postpartum or is through their postpartum phase, I feel like has had a Solly wrap in their life. And if you haven't, you should look into it because they're so great to have, especially in the chaos of postpartum life. If you have multiple kids, just being able to easily wear your baby is such a huge advantage. And now your kids are older. They're not in Solly wraps anymore. So let's go back to how you even came up with this idea and how you made it actually happen.
Really, the origin story of Solly Baby is me being pregnant with my second baby and needing to take care of that toddler and also keep my newborn close. I think that every parent knows that struggle when you're have multiple kids of the overwhelm before that baby comes of how can you take care of both? Can you be a good mom to both of them and meet their needs? And I was right there. My first baby had been really colicky and she liked to be worn. So I wore her a lot, but in a different carrier that was really comfortable for her, but gave me migraines, just the way that the straps hid and cut in. And so when I was pregnant with Solly, actually, my husband was in school. I had finished my degree. We were really young, and I just was going to make a wrap. I heard that wraps were the most comfortable way to wear a newborn. And so on a trip to visit his parents in LA, we went to the fabric district. I bought some fabric, literally off the street there, and brought it home and made a wrap. So I'd never worn any other, type of wrap or sling. Wow. But when Solomon came, I wrapped him up in this wrap, and I just remember this feeling like I could do it. Just this confidence that came of he's so comfortable. He fell right asleep, and I'm holding my toddler's hand to go walk in the neighborhood to a play date. And I was like, okay, I can be a mom of 2 kids. I can do this. And then what was so unexpected was, I had little bits of hey, that was pretty cool. I can make this thing, and I think I could do better than what I'm seeing online or seeing in the market already. But it wasn't until my sister-in-law came over with her baby, and she felt my wrap, and she was like, this is way better than mine. It's way lighter. And I was like, I don't even know how heavy other wraps are, but okay. So that really got the wheels turning. And social media, blogging, this is 2011. This is all just coming to the mainstream. And Instagram was, there weren't even business accounts. It was just my personal Instagram. Mm-hmm. And I started sharing on there and just wearing him and sending wraps to bloggers. And they were bloggers, they weren't influencers. Yeah. And I started an Etsy shop. It just really organically took I took the next steps from there and went back and found better fabric, better everything. Bought a serger on Craigslist for $50 and just started making them and selling them. And now 13 years later, it sounds yeah. And then it was just this company. No, it was 3 years of crazy, but, and really hustling and pushing and finding my market. But I think it really did come from just the, necessity is the mother of invention.
If you think about it, you look at other cultures, most people practice the baby wearing method of just the baby being on you, listening to your heartbeat, having comfort from that. So the idea that, you're able to wear your, of course, it logically makes sense. And it's wild to think that like that wasn't even something that was being made or being sold. Um, and I totally know what you mean about like the other carriers being functional or, working for a baby, but also not long-term wear if you're somebody who's going to keep your baby on the whole time and in a comfortable way. So, I mean, I love that you actually came up with the idea and then not only just made it for yourself, but also made it for other people to buy. But for me, like I am right now, I'm 3 months postpartum with my third, and there are things that I think about in my everyday interactions with either my 4-year-old, my 2-year-old, or my newborn, where I'm like, oh, that'd be so helpful if that existed, or if that, like, someone should make that. Like, I was just washing my baby's hair last night, and I was like, oh, it would be so great if someone could come up with something that was like different for cradle cap. And like, as a mom, you come up with all of these like, wouldn't this be great? Wouldn't this be convenient? And then, most of us just say it out loud and don't actually create the product because there's too much going on. You have children, you have life, but you actually went, got the fabric, created the wrap, and it's not like a straightforward concept. Like you needed to figure out how to wear the wrap so it's safe, what kind of fabric works, what's comfortable for the mom, what's comfortable for the baby. Can you walk us through how you actually went and executed that? Because it's, an overwhelming, daunting process for a lot of people, and it's not like you were just given a manual on how to create a wrap and sell it.
Yeah, yeah, I wish. But then everybody would do it, I guess. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, from that idea to from that concept to actual execution is just like throwing spaghetti noodles at a wall. It's like, okay, so maybe I should go to well, there's the product development and then there's the marketing, two very, very different things. So the product development part was a lot of, yeah, trial and error. Let's try this fabric. Let's try this print. I have to say too that with the initial creation of it, a major inspiration for me was looking at other baby gear at the time. It was not made for the mom. It was not like you said, it was for the baby, and which is of course really, really important, but also postpartum is hard enough. And I wanted to feel like I was not just like this cart horse, like that this like worked into my aesthetic in a way that would make me feel more confident as a mom in an already really vulnerable, insecure time. And so that really did factor into so much of the development and then of course the marketing of the product. But at that time, like, I mean, we're talking about just mostly like Fisher Price stuff that's, a lot of plastic and safari prints and, zoo animals and like not for the mom. And I was really, I still am so inspired by the idea that like motherhood is so beautiful and we can be so much more embodied, and really leaning into to the transformation and the rebirth that happens for us as well as our babies during this time. So that really was a very tangible part of this, of the development of it. But to come back to the more practical parts, it's all about creating a minimum viable product, that MVP of like, okay, I got a serger from Craigslist. I have this fabric. How can I make the most basic prototype? You don't make your own prototype. Figure it out, like the most crude, basic version of that, and then you build from there. And then production and all of that comes together by talking to people, by knocking doors, by the internet is obviously ChatGPT now. We have so many resources for like actually following through on those steps. That was like then it was kind of knocking doors not that long ago in LA of like, can I find a sewing house that will take on a product with very minimum, very low quantities and a totally unheard of brand. And so I think that making that basic prototype of whatever idea that you have, and then actually taking it to take it to that next step, it really is just doing all the research that you can in that area and just start talking to someone. Like there isn't a manual for this. It is like, who is the next person that I can talk to? And now the next person and the next person, and you just don't stop.
I feel like the secret sauce is like hustling. Like it's talking to those people, it's getting the prototype, it's getting the product where you want it. And at the time that you launched it, sending it out to people, like it was obviously a different time, but there's still that, that need to hustle and go out there and like pitch your product. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't get uncomfortable or like exhausting to feel like, oh, I'm pushing this one product. Did you experience that of just kind of like ever feeling like, okay, I'm coming up with a wrap, this hasn't been done before, and how am I going to make this successful? I'm putting myself out there, and I also have kids, I have things going on. How do I make that work?
Yeah, I think what you just hit on something so big, which is that you have to put yourself out there. And it's easy to think, well, because of the internet, I can just do everything somewhat anonymously and somewhat like hiding behind a computer or a phone, and I don't really have to be vulnerable. The only entrepreneurs, the only founders, the only businesses that I see that really make it are the ones who are just not afraid to look stupid, who are not afraid to just actually talk to people face to face, to call them, to text them. It's not being pathetic. It's not like, being thirsty. It's just like, no, I have this thing that I want to share with people coming from this genuine place. And I'm going to just keep talking about it until I find the right person and find my market and my people. And I think, like you asked, what was that like with motherhood and all the things coming at me at the same time? I mean, it's just the right next step. What is that, like from Frozen or something? Like it just, it is though. It's just like, you just tunnel vision. You tunnel vision of like, what is the next thing that I'm supposed to do? I don't need to like eat the whole elephant right now. Mm-hmm. It's just, what is the next step? What does my baby need?
You have this whole guilt factor of like, oh, I'm in here, doing some work while they're over there. And how do you spend enough time? So you must have also experienced that, because it's not like, you can be with your kids the entire time while you're starting a business and also getting prototypes done and people invested in your, your brand and your company.
Yeah, I think that, being aware of the voices that you're letting into your world is really huge. And who are you following? Like listening to super nurturing voices like yours that are like supportive and encouraging of, taking your own path as a mom and embracing who you are and where you are. I think that that's everything. I'm super selective about the external voices that I bring into my life. And because I think that they're influencing us way more than we think they are. And when I'm good about creating boundaries in that area, I'm so much more aligned with my own vision and integrity and my own family and my kids' real needs, not the things that, again, like, it's just, I should do, good moms do this. And everything kind of follows. Our family, I was wearing babies to meetings all the time. It was like, I'd feel nervous before I go in, like, in the beginning, like, wait, I bet they don't want a baby here. It's like all these old dudes or whatever, businessmen. Yeah. I'm like, I don't care. That's why I started my own business, because
Yeah.
I don't care if they have a problem with this, then like they're not the right partner. So I go in, and what was so shocking every time, and I think that there is like a life principle to this, is that when I would do that, it was completely disarming. Like I swear it was like actual leverage in that it
I'm
created
sure.
leverage
Yeah.
for me in these relationships and stronger partnerships, because it was real. And like and people love babies, and if they don't, I actually really don't want to work with you if you
Yeah.
really don't like babies. Like obviously, if they were like hugely distracting, I didn't bring toddlers to a lot of meetings, but I would definitely bring them, if I was checking in, and if like or sewing, our production or whatever, or I had a pop-up shop somewhere in New York or something, like we're just gonna go, and it's fine.
How old is Solly baby now?
I always think, how old is Solomon? He's about to be 14. So it's like
Crazy.
almost 14 years. So yeah.
Wild. So the company's almost 14 years old. You are now on like everyone's baby registry. You're a product that like any mom tells a first time mom that they need to get in order to, make postpartum life easier, simpler, better. And you also have your family, and also you and your husband spend a lot of time investing in moms and their ideas and their concepts to really nurture and foster that part of what, where you once were, of having an idea and getting it into a product and getting it to the success of your company today. Can you talk about how important that has been for you guys to have that part of your life where you really invest in moms and their ideas and helping them get their products out there?
Yeah, I mean, it really came from, for me, my husband has, similar but his own unique motivations. But for me, we never took on investors, and that was honestly out of a fear. I remember watching Shark Tank and Mark Cuban, like, well, I don't think it was Mark Cuban, it was all of them. Anytime someone would say like, this isn't, I'm a full-time mom, or I'm a part, like I'm have something else full-time, that they would not invest in them, because they'd say, well, I'm just worried this isn't like your top priority. And,
Yeah.
and that wasn't always the case. I know they invested in a lot of mom-owned businesses, but there are a few times where I was like, yeah, like I can't say that. I'm never going to say that. This isn't
Yeah.
my top priority. And I love it, and I'm totally committed to it, but not like my kids. No, like
Yeah.
I'm still gonna homeschool and do all the weird things that we do around here with our like I want to travel, and like they're my priority, and I know I have the capacity to do this, which I think motherhood is like the best kind of challenge or experience journey to help us realize how great our capacity is, because it's so humbling, because it's so unbelievably hard, that growth just it's forced growth in there. And so motherhood like was just such a springboard for me of creativity and confidence and understanding, like seeing myself in this new light. And because of that, wait, where are we going here?
You and your husband investing.
Investing. I was like, I really took a turn there, but I was like, just really wanted to say that, but I just believe that so much. But long story short, then with Levin Capital, I was like, it would have been helpful to have had investors at different parts along the way, so that I would have known, okay, organic marketing, you've maxed that out. It's time to start paying for marketing. Okay, time to like get really like real leadership in the company, and time to hire more people. Things like that. I mean, we figured it out. We Googled things. We learned, we talked to people, but it would have been nice to have that kind of partnership. And so with Levin, we were like, we want to be the investors that we didn't have and that we couldn't find. And so that's really the mission of what we do. It's not all it's just keeps happening that we're investing in businesses that are started by moms, because they're amazing. And often, actually every time the husband has come in and been able to like leave, his position at some point, and that's amazing to see it become like a family business.
Do you ever look back and wish that you had taken investors? Because I feel like everybody would have, now everybody's looking for investors. You hear about people looking for investors all the time, but not doing that is a unique route or avenue. And, obviously it ended up working out really well for you, but do you wish that you had done that, or are you happy that you didn't?
I mean, both. Like there's one thing that I see a lot in founders who are looking for investors is that they think that an investor is going to be this white horse that's going to save them and fix all their problems.
Right.
And if you think that an investor is going to do that, like you should not get an investor. Like you need to know that you know how to solve problems and can, like, no one's going to save you. They can help expand on what you're doing, amplify what you're doing. But if you're not so tight, as a small company, then what it grows into is going to be fractured. If it's fractured down here, it's going to continue. That fracture is only going to get bigger. Now, like so it's really, I think about the motivation. And for me, the times when I really wanted an investor, I will say that it was often because I wanted them to like save me. I was tired or burnt out or whatever. It was like somebody just like take the reins, Jesus,
Yeah.
take the wheel. But it's just, I think that's not the greatest motivation. It usually ends up, you pick the wrong people, and they can't fix that. And so, but if you need, more capital because you can't fund the growth of a business, that's an amazing reason to get an investor.
Was there a moment for you in your experience with Solly Baby where you had this like, okay, this is really going to catch on. People are really going to love this product. This is a legit thing that I'm doing that's really going to take off and have the success that it's had?
Yeah, there was a moment for sure. I remember after, so it's like 3 years in, now I'm pregnant with my third baby, just days away from having her. And we had a photographer, a friend of mine from New York, fly in and stay. We lived in a tiny house here in San Diego, like literally like 600 square feet, little tiny house. And she slept on the couch. She was so nice. She like shoots for all these big companies, and she's an old college friend. And she came out and shot our latest line in our shed that we had turned into a studio. I mean, it was humble. I'm not pretending here. And it was like the night before, Kate, let's upload the images. We're going to launch it in a few minutes, like all way too soon together, and like pre-order because the inventory hadn't come in, all the things, okay? And I drop her off at the airport. As I like launch, I'm like, okay, I got to get you to the airport. I drop her off, big belly, driving home, and I just get all these notifications of the sales coming through. And it was just nonstop. It was just, I think every business has, I don't know if that's strong of a moment, but a moment where it's like the momentum takes over and you're like, okay, I'm not driving every single sale and every single bit of the momentum. And I remember just rolling down the windows, turning on like Bob Dylan or something, and just like sobbing I just knew so deep in me, like, it's going to be okay. This is going to work. It was just, right. I just knew it. I knew that it was going to work then. But that's, 3 years in. Yeah. And first employee, I'd hired our first employee 2 weeks before that.
Wow.
It was, yeah, it's worth it though. But yeah.
Yeah. And you're still so hands-on with the company, even all these years later, with creating different products. I mean, you guys have expanded now. You have the wraps, of course, but you also have so many other products. I was talking to you about the pajamas now because they're nursing friendly. And also my girls are obsessed with matching pajamas. So we all match together when we're wearing the PJ sets, which is amazing. But I mean, it's expanded into other areas now too.
Yeah. I am definitely more hands off in the day to day. We have this amazing CEO, Nicole. She has, yeah, it's in really good hands. But I am still pretty high touch and like new products and innovation and just like Nicole and I will connect of just like, okay, like how's the messaging? How are we connecting? How are we nurturing our moms? Um, but yeah, there's some really exciting innovation products this year. One that was really a long time coming that will be later this year, like in Q3. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, pajamas, nursing covers, like always love our swaddles. But yeah, our wrap is our hero product.
Well, I mean, I think you've done such an amazing job, and being able to also successfully branch out into other areas outside of wraps is amazing. I've breastfed both my girls for over a year, and now 3 months into my third time doing it. And I would say that your product is something that I've really loved using and also find to be so practical. And you can tell the products that really have moms in mind, not, of course, and babies, but just the wearability, the functionality of it, the product, how it feels, how it fits, how it looks. So I think you've done such an amazing job, and I love that you have, this community that is behind the product and the aesthetic of, how you market it. So I'm so grateful that we were able to connect and just learn about how you got to where you are today, and also the advice that you give to other people who come up with ideas in the craziness of motherhood or postpartum and want to actually follow through with an amazing product like you've done. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's like the kindest compliment that we could get. So I appreciate that, especially coming from you. You really are like just such a real mom in the very best way, and it's just so genuine in the way that you want to lift up other moms and encourage them during this time of life. I just really respect that, and am grateful for it. It's cool to see the women that you the way that you serve your community.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you so much. And I was literally nursing my baby when I was running in here to do this interview. I was like, if I'm a little bit late or if I show up with my son with me, she'll get it. So I really
You have the right
resonated to
person.
the idea that you wore your babies into meetings. It's amazing. I love that.
More of that, please.
I know. I love it. Truly amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Elle for joining us today. Solly Baby Wraps are truly a must-have for anyone who is about to embark on their postpartum journey, and also just loved learning all about Elle and her experience working with her husband and investing in mom-funded businesses. So thank you to Elle.